Hello everyone, welcome back to the Erasmus Expeditions. Thank you for joining us this evening. We are going to be playing a D&D 5th edition one-shot that takes place in a setting that I have called Dowrenland, which is kind of a mixture of Wonderland and Oz, kind of with a dark coat of paint. But tonight, the game is going to be called Innocence Lost. I do apologize for the dogs barking in the background, but if you're not new to the channel, then you're not new to that shit. By the way, if adult language and mature subject matter is something that bothers you, you're on the wrong channel. Honestly, you should go watch, I don't know, Sesame Street. But if not, then welcome, Kindred Spirit, because, well, you've come to the right place. This game comes with an extra warning label. If you have PTSD, specifically wartime PTSD, then this game very well may contain triggers for that, so just please be aware. We are also using the X card in tonight's game. I don't think that we will have a need for it, but you never know, and so that's why it's there. If at any time any of the players feel uncomfortable with where a scene is heading, all they need to do is just type X in the chat, or just hold up an X symbol, or what have you, and we will wrap it up so that we don't dwell on it. But I think that just about covers everything. We're going to pass it over to the players so that they can do their introductions, say hello, plug whatever they would like to plug. Then we will push this boulder off the cliff. All right, so first up, let's go with Karen.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Karen. I have a channel called Mything Gears, which we haven't been doing a lot on lately, but we plan to on Tuesday. So we're having our second game of the Asian-inspired campaign going on that day. So if that's the thing you're interested, come on by and check us out. Tonight, I'm going to be playing Chrysobelle Laurent. She is a nurse with a Red Cross, finding herself at the front lines, trying to take care of some of these fallen soldiers, and now they're in a bit of hot water, I believe. So looking forward to tonight.
As always, glad to have you here, Karen. Thank you very much. All right, next up we have, the first time on this channel, my beautiful, sweet, and darling wife, Jamie.
Hi, I don't have a channel other than plugging Jeremy's and everybody else's on here as well. This is my first online game, so a little nervous about that. My character is named Pearl Warren, and she's a telephone operator for the war, and also kind of somewhat trained as a soldier as well. Kind of interested to see where this goes. I'm a child of the 80s, so these are very much kind of my settings.
Excellent. And yes, even though it is the first time for you to play online, this is not your first time playing underneath my tutelage as a DM, so I'm very excited to have you back at my table also. All right. Next up, we have Caius. I don't hear you. Uh-oh. It looked like you unmuted, but I still can't hear you.
I could hear him.
That's strange.
I can hear you.
What? Okay, so Jamie and I can't hear you, but the others can? That's really strange. Okay, interesting. So YouTube, the chat's saying that they can't hear you either. It's probably because it's coming through my Zoom call. Would be my guess. That is really bizarre. It's always something, you know? Technology. Okay, yeah, try that, guys. We'll see if that works. Hold, please. Caius, just a sec to pop back in, and then we will juggle people back around. So we're going to continue right along. Nick, why don't you give your intro?
Hey, that's me. I don't have anything to plug except that Sesame Street is awesome, so don't be saying anything like that. But just looking forward to being here. This is my first time in a long time playing on anybody from AppTab's channel, so looking forward to it. I am actually William, though it says Archie over there, and he is a young kid from New York who decided to volunteer for the army before conscription came through. Turned out he wasn't as cracked out for it as he thought he was going to be. Ended up being a medic, and he recently is dealing with the loss of his canine companion. So he's a little shell-shocked right now.
Excellent, thank you. And last but certainly not least, we have... oh my gosh, I was looking at your character's name. Your name is not Oswald, Jackson. Please introduce yourself and take me out of this mess.
I hope I can. Can you guys hear me, first of all? Awesome. Okay. So, hello everyone. I am Jackson Johnson. I have a channel. It's called The Creative Storm, but that channel is about as dead as can be for now. For now, anyways. But for today, I will be playing Corporal Oswald Rathbone, a nobleman of Yorkshire. I'm not going to do the Yorkshire accent, unfortunately. You will have classic RP for today, who has been pressured into the service by his overbearing lordly parents. He is a bookworm, he is studious, and he does not want to be in Flanders. And I just want to say that I've never been in a stream where I have been in a nice little, beautiful little design you put together, Jeremy, so I feel very special and welcome, so thank you, and I'm happy to play today.
Jackson, you are special and welcome.
Stop.
No, seriously.
Inspiration for the GM.
Ooh, marking that down. Okay. Jackson dies last. No. No, I love playing D&D. I love having new people on the channel. Several of you are new players under me, and I'm very, very excited to be hopping back into Dowrenland. It's been a little while since I've run a game in this setting, so thank you very much if you are tuning in this evening and watching along with us. Hope you're buckled in, because it's probably going to get weird. Okay, so if everyone is ready, I'm going to get started. Oh, anybody that mentioned the channel, by the way, the link to it is in the description of the video down below. Please do go check them out. All right, let's do this. A quote. The thing about a story is that you dream it as you tell it, hoping that others might then dream along with you. And in this way, memory and imagination and language combine to make spirits in the head. There is the illusion of aliveness. The things they carried. Once upon a time, in the year 1916, the land of France was covered in the darkness of war. The horrors of this conflict have left the land twisted and charred, coated in a mixture of mud and blood. It is there, among the miles of trenches filled with the honorable dead, that 5 heroes have wandered now for nearly 2 weeks. Seemingly the only ones still alive, leaderless and alone. These young soldiers are trying to find their way back to the front line. Where, among this maze of ditch and tunnel, do we find the group of you? Who do we see in this dismal place?
I'll go first. So as the camera pans in, you see not a large man, but as average as you can for somebody in the middle of a world war build wise. Basically, fireman carrying a large mud of a dog, but a dog nonetheless. He is frantic and head searching all over the place, looking for absolutely anybody else to help him deal with this situation. His head is obviously not 100% there right now, and he's just looking for absolutely anybody in this chaos. Reggie, we'll find something for you. We got you. We got you. Is anybody out there?
Appearing out of a sort of muddy hole not far away is a equally indistinguishable soldier in the usual khakis, muddied khakis that everyone wears, slipping and sliding and struggling up through the mud. The first thing you see is his Brody steel helmet glinting in the not glint. There's a little chip which catches a glint of the sun, and he looks over. Come over here, mate. Have some tea with us, and then we'll look after your dog in a minute. Keep down. We don't want to attract any of the artillery. This way, he says, and then disappears back down into the mud.
William would immediately follow, finally finding somebody who spoke his language, and offering tea is better than anything he could have possibly asked for right now. So immediately just runs over, places the dog down. You probably immediately notice that the dog is not breathing, but he gives the dog a nice, like a firm, like pet, like, and just, I'll be back, Reggie, I'll be back, and comes down with you.
He's got a little gas burner that he's trying to he's trying to coax a flame out of. He just repeats. He's striking a flint and getting little sparks, but the flame just doesn't seem to be catching. Perhaps you can do it, he says, handing you the lighter.
I'll give it a shot.
Where are you from, soldier?
3rd Cavalry, but New York.
Oh. Early volunteer.
Yeah. You know, better to be out here on your own will than somebody else's, huh?
Oh, we could do with a few more of you boys. I say, I don't really know what's going on, though.
It's I thought I did, and then we just kind of points to everything. Kind of you lose control, huh?
Where did you find the dog?
He was assigned to me. He's been with me since almost day one. I considering shows the pouch. I'm on the medic squad. He's there to make sure I don't get killed, and I was supposed to make sure he didn't get killed too.
Well, he looks at you.
So, where
tea's not ready yet.
where are you out of?
Oh, I'm a Yorkshire boy. I'm looking for my officer. Oswald's his name, but I haven't seen him for a while. You'll recognise him by his sounds like he's straight out of Oxford or something like that.
I'll keep an ear out. Certainly hope he has the accent.
Oh, I think we need. Your dog doesn't look too good.
He's definitely seen better days, but he'll be fine. It's ready to. Oh, let me.
Excuse me.
He
says, pulling out. He pulls out his gas mask from his from the webbing on his chest and pulls it over his head, and you just see him spluttering against the inside of his gas mask for a bit.
Let me see if I can help out with that for a bit, and I'll pull out my medical supplies and see if there's anything I can do to check up on him.
You can see clear signs that he survived mustard gas earlier on, but it comes back, and his breathing isn't as good as it once was.
Yeah, that's triage isn't going to do much for that, but just try to take it easy. The harder you push yourself, it's going to weigh worse.
Through the fog.
Go for it. No, go for it.
No, through the fog, you kind of hear a hello. Is anybody there? I don't know. And then as she kind of comes through the fog and the smoke, you see a slight figure kind of slam a radio, backpack radio down into back onto its cradle, and is somewhat startled to see people. Oh, finally! I haven't seen anybody in days, and I can't get anybody on the radio. I don't know if it's broken or if just there's nobody there.
Archie is flops back his tips back his head to sort of knock his long hair out of his eyes, and gestures. He's still coughing, but he gestures for you to hand over the radio for him to have a look at.
Yeah, at first she seems kind of hesitant, but she'll sling it off of her back and kind of hand it to you. Name's Pearl. Be careful with that. I'm in charge of it.
Archie. Oh, he's got a 3.5.
Over the din of all of the smoke and the distant booms of shrapnel shells exploding, you would all suddenly hear a reedy, thin voice yelling in the distance, "Help! Help, please! Mother of God, please help me! Help!" As out in no man's land is a thin, reedy corporal, an officer with a sunken-in skeletal face. What must have once been youthful has now been eroded away by the horrors of war. He has thin lips and rounded eyeglasses that he keeps in front of his face that are caked with blood and mud. as he is lying on his back wearing what was once a prim and pristine officer's uniform that has now been caked with dirt and blood, as his left leg is caught in a bit of barbed wire. And he is just lying out in the middle of nowhere, no man's land, screaming bloody murder for any help to come for him.
That certainly sounds like an Oxford accent.
And I think through the dark, the fog and the mist, this figure approaches. It's a small figure. You can see it because it's white. But as the camera kind of focuses in on this figure walking towards this man crying out, you see the white is no longer pristine. It's covered in mud and blood, but what you can definitely still see is the big red cross that's on the front. And lo and behold, the hat is still perched atop this slight woman's head. Her bun has fallen a little bit and it's messy, but the cap is still quite attached. And she approaches you. Sir, are you okay?
Oh, thank heavens! I'm afraid I've got my bloody leg stuck in this.
Don't move! You'll make it worse.
Okay.
Let me see if I can get you out of that. And she would continue to start to look at the leg and how badly mangled it might be in this barbed wire.
It's mostly caught on his boot, but you do see a bit of blood seeping out from under his calf as his struggling has caused the barbed wire to tighten in and cut deeper.
Okay, don't move. This might hurt a little bit. And she will just kind of grabbing it in places where the barbs aren't and kind of rip it away from his leg and then down off the boot.
Despite how tender you may be, this man screams like a baby no matter what. As you feel, even if it's pain, you think it's mostly just fear.
They'll hear you.
Sorry. I'm so sorry. And he just begins to cry.
What is your name, sir?
My name is Corporal Oswald Rathbone, and he weakly does a salute. At your service.
No, enough of that. Where is the rest of your unit?
I don't rather well know. They all got lost once we went over the top. I ran with Archibald. I saw him through we were gassed. That's right. The bloody mustard gas. And he starts like wailing, and he kind of gets a little frantic, and he cuts himself a little bit on the wire. And he goes, "Oh, sorry. I've just been alone for so many days, and I must admit, you are quite an angel right now. You are a Florence Nightingale, ma'am." And he salutes again.
Yes. Let's get you out of here. Now be quiet. We have to. And she starts looking furtively around to make sure that they are actually still alone before she starts heading towards probably the nearest trench to get off of this no man's land.
What is your name, ma'am?
It's Chrysobelle.
Chrysobelle. A pleasure. And he'll weakly pull himself out of the barbed wire and kind of lean against you and limp. You would notice that you would notice that he's very, very tall, but he's the kind of tall where he sloops a lot and seems to try to hide himself no matter what.
I'm imagining he's probably putting a lot of weight upon poor Chrysobelle, and she's like carrying the brunt of his,
yes,
body.
Absolutely.
She's kind of grunting under the weight, like, "Okay, let's move.
Oh, bloody hell! Thank you so much."
Back in the bunker, Archie has crawled up to the top of this wall of mud, sort of slithered his way up to the top, and he's sort of glanced over with his helmet down, and you hear the distant sort of crack of machine gun fire and some explosion somewhere in the distance, and he's looking out, and he says, There are two. I can see two, but you'll need to. William, did you say your name was? And maybe Pearl, if you can help cover. I've got some wire cutters. I can clear open the way for. I think that's Oswald. And there's some Red Cross person with him. If you can cover, if you can try and keep that that machine gun, that Jerry machine gunner, silent for a while with a few shots, I'll try and get out to them and bring them back.
Yes. Maybe if we go down, we can try to do a distraction. I'll move down a bit and take a few shots.
Yep. Attract their attention away, and I'll see if I can open up the wires.
Just starts frantically like shaking his head, like yeah, okay, yeah, I can do that. And I'll run down a couple dozen yards, and just start. I'll grab a gun. I probably didn't have a gun on me. Probably grab somebody's gun off the ground at the last minute, realizing I forgot something. And then I'll start taking a few shots, just distractionary shots.
And just as soon as the rattle of the machine gun's head starts up in that direction, Archie crawls out and calls out to them, "This way!" And starts using his wire cutters to cut a path through the mud and back to the trench.
Only a few feet further. Can you make it?
I think so. I think a lot of it was just my nerves. Oh, no, wait. Oh, bloody hell. Nope, that's pain. That's real pain. Oh, by the gods. Sorry, I'll keep quiet.
You're doing fine. You're doing fine. We'll make it there.
Thank you so much. And we'll stumble over.
Yeah, Pearl will shoulder her radio pack again and kind of head back down towards William. I lost my pistol. I don't know what happened to it. It's fell in the mud somewhere, but she starts picking up just chunks of debris and everything and kind of lobbing it up and over, just again to kind of make a sound distraction, to try to keep the machine guns occupied.
Though you take your cover fire and throw debris as a distraction, you hear nothing in return. There's not a single shot that is fired in your direction, no noise that is made. It's been some time since you have seen or heard anything from the enemy. But with so few that you've run across over the last few days, it may not be entirely surprising. But now that the five of you are together, in the coming days that you continue to wander the trenches looking for reprieve, just another soul, maybe. Each one of you, if you would, in turn, please tell me about the moment of this war when you realized that your childhood was over.
For Oswald, it was when they were supposed to go over the top. He had just finished berating Archibald about his Oxford education allowing him to have a higher accent. But he remembers the sound of the gas seeping through the trenches, having to quickly put on his mask and barely being able to see through it as the German soldiers made their advance into the trenches. There was that moment when Oswald killed his first man. Just a kid. Charged him. His mask had been ripped off, and he was screaming wildly. His eyes were red as he tried to tackle Oswald, and Oswald simply held up his bayoneted rifle and stabbed into the poor lad's guts. Oswald realized in that moment that that child was no older than he was. And when he pulled the trigger, he saw the light fade from the child's eyes. Everything else became a blur after that moment, but all Oswald remembered was running, running, running through no man's land until he couldn't anymore, until his leg was caught on the barbed wire. He couldn't tell if he was running away from the horrible sin he had just committed, or the battle all around him, or the responsibilities that his family, his aristocratic family, placed upon him. But all he knew was he just wanted to get out and get away. Perhaps he wanted to die, but at the very least, he wanted to be dead to this horrible world.
For Chrysobelle, that moment was when she first landed in the front lines after volunteering to go. Within that first hour, the soldiers started being brought into the tents by the dozens, and she saw men with gaping wounds, lost limbs, all over the place. And the sight was just far more than what she was expecting to see. Nothing had prepared her for the carnage that she was now witnessing, and trying to put these men back together as well as they could with the meager supplies that they had, and the fact that they were just really kind of pouring into the shelters here. And that was the moment she realized that this wasn't going to be an adventure. This was going to be a nightmare.
It'd be easy to say William lost his childhood when Reggie was shot, but it had probably happened months before that. He barely made it out of training camp before he had his nice slap in the face. When his commanding officers realized he couldn't handle by himself and gave him his dog companion that you probably just heard barking in the background. He was given K9 MED 22 and was told not to get attached. Within the week, he had named them Reggie, and they were best friends. And he was, for 3 days, just on the shit duty. The worst possible job you can have. His commanding officer was very upset. And it was that moment that he realized, if this is what my side is doing and my allies are doing, how bad is it going to be in war? And at that moment, he realized that war was going to be shit.
Archie remembers the gas pouring down over the side of the trenches. He'd already thought it was hell, but that when the gas hit and he was fumbling to find his gas mask, and then the tears started to stream and everything like that. The stomach cramps started. He started vomiting and couldn't breathe, and then he realized he just wasn't getting enough oxygen. He was getting lightheaded, and he saw his best friends Seth and Lee and his people he'd been at school with all his life, just his village wiped out by this gas cloud in front of him, and he felt himself drifting off and dying. He was surprised when he found he'd survived the attack, when everybody he'd known, and all the people he'd known all his life and had trained with and had marched with and had gone to school with, and had, over 50%, over half of them had died. And when he realized, when he came round from that with his pain, the pain in his chest, his constricted lungs that could no longer breathe as well as they could, his red eyes that streamed at the slightest thing, and the pain he always felt in his abdomen. That was the end of his. That was the last straw of his childhood.
Pearl was somewhat conscripted into this. She was a telephone operator in civilian, world, and was brought in because they needed people who knew how to work the phone systems for the army. And so she went into it and started off working in the barracks and everything, which was fairly tame. And then whenever things got really intense with the war, they brought her in to be a radio carrier for communications in the field, because all the rest of the men who were doing the job had been killed. And so for her, probably that moment was whenever she first got into the trenches, and that first mortar shell hit and wiped out the entire group of women that she was with, in addition to all of the men that were with them that were somewhat supposed to be protecting them. And she kind of realized that she was very alone in this, and this wasn't theoretical anymore. This is real. And she wasn't quite sure where to go from there.
These 5 wretched souls, not a one of them older than 19, trudged through 4 days. The days and the nights almost blend together, and still not another living person in sight. As you walk, you all begin to feel a chill in the air. Pressing onward, you notice that snow has begun to fall, and soon ice. You begin to see that it is formed on the sandbags and the wooden ramparts that form the walls on either side of you. Your breath now escapes in visible clouds from your mouths. And ahead, whoever it is that's in the front, you notice the entrance to a bunker bearing the markings of a field hospital.
Maybe there'll be somebody in there.
Do you think they can help with my leg?
Of course they can. Your leg's healing well, by the way.
Yes, I know. I just really don't want to catch gangrene. I've read books. It's very bad things. Thank you.
I will make sure that does not happen.
Oswald just holds your wrist tightly, like a young boy holding his mother going through the village for the first time.
And I think she probably pats your hand on her wrist, kind of like a mother would do, even though she's probably younger than you are.
Absolutely.
If it's a medical tent, they've got to have another radio in there. Maybe that one will work.
Someone can come take a look at Reggie's starting to get a little heavy.
Archie has hardly taken off his gas mask since you first saw him, and he just gestures with his hand for people to come with him as he's looking around for his rifle, but he can't find it at the moment. So he just goes up to the door with the shovel that he's got, and uses the end of his shovel to sort of force open the door and goes in to have a look.
Archie, when you push the door open, it creaks, but not just the creak of these kind of haphazard wooden doors that have been kind of left in the muck. It creaks like ice, like it crinkles as you push this door open. The room beyond is incredibly cold. This blast of just ice just hits you in the face, and as it kind of sucks out through the door, a small canister rolls and hits you in the toe of your boot, and you realize that it is a canister of mustard gas.
He gas. You sort of you hear him sort of shout through his gas mask, gesturing for everybody to go back, and he just kicks the canister and into the room and closes the door, with him and the others outside, or on the other side from the canister anyway.
It's when you kick it that you hear the hollow ting 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 that makes bouncing off of the interior furniture and walls, and you can tell that it's empty. But as the door kind of shuts and then reopens again, you can see boots laid out on cots in the room. This room is not empty of people.
He's panic has overtaken Archie, and he just the mustard gas has freaked him out, and the possibility of what's in there, and he just claws his way past you and to the other end of the group, behind everybody. He can't bear to look at the room. This I think they're dead. We'll go somewhere else. Carry on looking.
No, we must check. And I think at this point, Chrysobelle is kind of watching Archie freak out a little bit and she just kind of turns to Oswald, kind of gently removes his hand from her arm so that she can push open the door to see what's inside.
William would go over to Archie and it would actually put Reggie down for a moment, but just kind of put his arm around him. It's going to be okay, Archie. It's okay. It wasn't full.
Oswald shakily pulls out the one pistol he has. It's shaking in his hand, and he doesn't even realize it's not loaded.
So, those of you who are headed into the room, it sounds like Chrysobelle and Oswald. What about you? I just dropped your character's name. Pearl.
Yeah, she'd be going in with them. I would try to grab a light source. I'm not sure of my history, whether old school flashlights were around at that point or whether it would be something like a lantern.
Probably. The only one who would have even potentially an electric light would be Oswald, probably, being an officer.
But yeah, some sort of a light source to try to see better. Keep the door propped open as well for more light.
Okay. The three of you head into this underground dugout that has been reinforced, and because of the light source that Pearl brings, you're able to see that the rooms here are filled with the corpses of wounded and medic alike. From their positions, it is pretty apparent that most of them died from the gas attack. However, all of them are frozen, and there is a white crystalline rime blanketing every surface that you can see in this space. One of the three of you, if you would please, I would like a volunteer. Jackson. All right. Oh, I gotta juggle you guys around. Okay, Jackson. You are Archie. Archie, in one of these rooms, you find an entire wall where pure ice has formed and has hardened flat. It is nearly as reflective as a mirror. You can see yourself reflected in the surface of this mirrored ice, and you can feel almost being drawn to your counterpart. So, while you describe what you're doing in that scene, I'm going to play Tetris.
Oswald is staring at over the dead bodies of the rime-covered soldiers, wondering, worried that the Germans have developed some new type of weapon that could have caused this. And then he stares at this great ice wall, and he sees himself, and it's strange. It's almost like he can see some sort of idealized version of himself, a version of himself that he always thought he would be in his imagination when he would read his adventure novels. He steps forward and looks at himself, and he says, Jesus, is that? And he places his hand against the reflection.
You reach your hand out and touch, much like you would expect, a flat, hard, cold surface that your hand, after just a moment, kind of tries to stick to if you leave it touching too long. The heat from your hand somewhat melting the ice. But there's something about this reflection of you. The way that it moves is ever so slightly off. Just not exact.
Oswald at this point has probably disassociated, and maybe he cheerfully thinks to himself, "Oh, I'm going mad."
The three of you, if you would please, roll either perception or investigation checks.
'21 perception.
Okay.
19 perception.
Okay.
27.
Oh, I'm sorry. 19 investigation.
Investigation. And
27 perception.
Goodness.
Yeah.
Okay. So all of you notice at one point in your moving around in this place, each of you has come across the same strange carving on the surface of a small wooden table. It's difficult to make out because the letters seem backwards.
My goodness. What is that? And Oswald will kind of walk over to it and try to examine it. He'll take off his spectacles and wipe them down with his jacket on the one clean part of his jacket, probably, and lean in and try to decipher. Languages and words were always a curiosity of his.
Pearl would also be pretty intrigued by it for kind of similar reasons.
And same with Chrysobelle. It almost looks like a message.
Some sort of language. Maybe ancient Celtic. I'm not quite sure.
Pearl actually has, she rummages around in her pack for a second, actually pulls out a small mirror, not much bigger than a compact, and kind of flips it around and tries looking at it that way.
After a moment, when you're kind of playing with the angle of this, and you manage to get it in such a way that it's held up, and you're kind of looking into the mirror, instead of at the surface of the table itself, you realize that the carving, even though it was done by hand, reads perfectly fine, reversed.
I can see it now. It's backwards. It's a mirror image.
Oswald kind of sees that and kind of looks down at the words, and he kind of straightens his back and adjusts his glasses and goes, of course it is.
And then, yeah, she kind of moves it along, to where she can see the whole message and reads it aloud as she's moving it.
Okay. You realize, as you are glancing in the mirror, that you can read this in its entirety, one line at a time. Please do so.
Mirror, mirror beyond the wall, those of us who've come to call, mind you, reflect upon your vow to Dowrenlanders then and now. It's interesting. It's Dowrenlanders.
I've never heard of them.
It sounds Welsh.
It is at
It's
that
not-
moment that there is a vibrating sound that comes from that large wall of ice on the other side of the room.
Tabernacle. What is that?
Oswald frighteningly turns and aims his gun and just fires, and he absentmindedly, it just clicks, and he just looks down at it and he just goes, bloody hell, and he puts it back.
Pearl's going to call out, because Archie is still outside, correct? She's going to call out. Okay, Archie, William, get in here. There's no gas. The gas is gone. There's some very strange things, though. We need to stay.
Archie, I think they need us in there. You think you're going to be okay?
William, you better leave the dog here to keep guard, and we'll go in.
Yeah, Reggie's good at that.
Yeah, I've made a little spot that should be comfortable for him. Just let him. He looks tired. Let him rest in this little spot here.
Thank you.
There. He kneels down next to the dog, and he's got he's got his glove on because the dog, I think, after a few days has begun to smell a bit, and he taps it. You stay here and you stay here and keep guard. I think it's best that you stay here now. Tell him to keep guard, and then we'll let him rest here, I think, for a bit. He looks tired. All right, William?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Let's go in.
Let's go in. And make our way in.
The five of you are now standing across from these doppelgangers of yourselves. And ever since the vibration in this surface, this ice mirror, occurred, now they're very out of sync with you. And the longer you stare at them, they're taking on, some of them, bizarre traits. Some of their clothing might look different. Their facial features might be changing. Something strange is going on in the reflection of this mirror.
Oswald thinks to himself, right, well, I really am going mad. At least I'm not alone. And he absent-mindedly just reaches for Chrysobelle's hand.
No, you're not. And I think at this, Chrysobelle's going to be reaching the other hand out towards the mirror on the wall. Or this ice mirror.
The reflection of you does the same, as you might expect, although maybe a little delayed, a little slow. Maybe the aim is not quite right. And as you near the surface, your hand passes through as if there's nothing there at all. And you can feel snowfall and wind on your hand.
And almost like she touched fire, I guess, because she wasn't expecting there to be really nothing there. She would jerk back that hand, and the other hand would probably clench Oswald's. There's nothing there.
You're crushing my hand.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Thank you. Yes, that was rather strange.
You saw it too?
But of course, your hand passed through. It was like water.
You hear a little, almost a laugh from Archie as he's looking over at the image of himself. He's still in his gas mask, and he's wearing his Brody steel helmet. But as he's looking at the sort of form opposite him, the two lenses of the gas mask seem to have got bigger and darker and browner, and the breathing has turned in sort of little whiskers are appearing from the side of the breathing bit of the gas mask, and the side of his helmet that used to stick out have sort of they've bent over, and they're getting longer, and they look to be drooping down under his own under their own weight, turning into ears. And he said, "Look at this," he says, shaking his head. "It's like a rabbit," he says, almost having forgot the horror of everything for a moment. He sort of skips, even jumps forward a bit rabbit-like, and letting out a laugh. He sort of trips and falls into the mirror.
The rest of you watch as Archie tumbles forward and disappears through the surface of this mirror. His reflection likewise disappears.
William's probably not looking at Archie as he talks about it because he's also inspecting the ears that are appearing, and he's just kind of touching his head. He's like, um, I'm glad you're enjoying it. I got picked on enough in school for having big ears. Oh God, Archie! And he goes after him as he sees him fall in.
A second, William now disappears, meeting his reflection in kind of this reverse symmetry, and disappears.
Oswald was staring at himself, and he would notice that this form of his is somehow even taller, almost to a ridiculous degree, as if he had been stretched out and merged with a tree. His skin is sort of dark and bark-light. There seems to be like strange branches sticking out from his hair, almost like a crown. His ears are elongated, and strangely enough, his spectacles have turned a dark black and seemingly merged in with his eyes, presenting his eyes as just two giant dark black circles. And Oswald just goes, "My goodness, I look like a bloody changeling from my stories." And then he'll just see the two of them tripping after each other. And Oswald will kind of just look towards Chrysobelle. And he'll just kind of wait on you if you're going.
Yeah, I think Chrysobelle is looking at, well, watching the two of them disappear and then looking at what your reflection is doing. And then she's looking at Pearl's reflection as well before she looks back to her own, which in her case hasn't really changed much, not like the others. But what was black or what was white is now black. So instead of this long white gown, she's now wearing this black gown, but it seems almost Victorian. And her hair is down and it's longer and it's dark. But other than that, it's almost like her, what she would imagine she would have been had she lived hundreds of years previously. And again, she looks at Pearl and Pearl's reflection and kind of shrugs, indicating like, do we want to follow?
Pearl's also kind of staring at her reflection and kind of marveling at the changes, and her slight figure has become even slighter, and the telephone cable that is on her radio pack has kind of moved down in the reflection to her side and is coiled into a whip, and the telephone part of it is kind of melded up into her ears, and which she is quite confused to have. And she's covered in kind of a white, kind of tawny colored fur. And she surely thinks that she's finally, the trauma of everything has finally kind of driven her insane. But figures if everybody else is going through the glass, and she might as well make the trip with them. So yes, Chrysobelle, let's follow.
I think with that, Chrysobelle will probably put out a hand to each of you, and then maybe together we'd go through.
The last two of you disappear through the mirror. And we now find the five of you standing in a dense forest. Lush, but covered in the white blanket of snow. The evergreen trees all around you only have their needles sticking out from beneath the different umbrellas that kind of form the height of the tree. And even the needles are frozen in this perfect winterland. And you're a little taken aback to find out that not 20 or 30 feet ahead of you, there is a stark border And on the other side is non-snowy lands. A lush, green, sunny, bright forest where you can see wildlife flitting here and about and bounding around in the underbrush. Even from here, you can tell that that border is a perfect line. There are some trees that are even bisected, with only this half being covered in snow. Not a single snowflake that falls crosses that border.
I think Chrysobelle, seeing at this ahead of us, would immediately look behind to where we were just at to see if we can still see the room that we came from.
Turning around, you can see the surface of the ice in the mouth of a cave. It still seems to be the same size, same rough shape. But you don't see a room on the other side of it. You see a reflection as if it were a mirror.
Do we see the reflection of the strange twisted versions of ourselves, or our normal selves?
Those images in the mirror, though when you first glance at them, look like the blended type, the not quite you version, those fade into a fully formed version of whatever else it was you saw in that reflection. You are now changed, for better or worse.
And Oswald screams.
William goes to look and realizes he's looking probably at his Oswald's kneecaps and looks up. What's and just starts looking around everywhere, much closer to the ground than he's used to being.
Oh dear. I think is all that Chrysobelle will utter at seeing all four of her compatriots completely changed.
What? Why don't you look that different? Where? How do I get that one?
Isabel.
I think Chrysobelle would look down at herself and I don't know what's happened. You are all so different.
What the bloody hell is wrong with us? Where are we? What is going on? I don't know what's going on. And Oswald will sit down and his knees will just come up to his face as he just pulls himself into a giant, thin, bark-like ball. And he'll just kind of rock himself back and forth a little bit.
That must be you, Oswald. I recognize your voice.
Archie? Yo.
Aye, it's
You have-
me.
He pokes your ears a little bit.
Oh, you've read lots. What's going on?
Well, if
Oh.
I don't really know.
Is this it? Do you think? We thought that
Oh my god, we're dead.
the canister wasn't empty.
We're all bloody dead, and this is hell. We're in hell.
We're not
Brilliant.
dead. We're not dead. We're not dead.
It's not that bad. It's not that bad, though, is it? Well, it's not as bad as it could have been.
Speak for yourself. You're a cheery bunny man. I could bring a match near me, and I'll be lit up in flames.
To be fair, you probably would have been lit up in flames in the other form too.
I beg your pardon, sir.
This is better than the trenches, I think. And as he's talking, you just see his ears twitch.
What is?
Even if we are dead, That was hell. This is something better.
Pearl, is that you? Chrysobelle, you're the one we can recognize.
Pearl's going to kind of jump up and down, just kind of testing out. So essentially she's hopping, kind of looking down at her feet and kind of realizing kind of what she looks like. And I don't understand this form, but again, it's better than where we were.
I reckon you're right. I reckon you're right.
Well, at least we're not being shot at. That's something.
At that
I'm being
moment,
shot at.
the ground trembles beneath your feet.
Oh.
Damn,
then it
my
stops.
snuggering mouth.
And then it repeats. Snow gets shaken from the trees from around you. Looking up in the sky, you can see on the horizon in every direction you look that there are storm clouds. You can see these very dark, black and menacing clouds everywhere you look. And silently, teal lightning streaks through these darkened clouds. But that's not what is causing the ground to tremble. As you are looking skyward, you look up and you see a large figure rising up above the treetops, and realize that it's moving closer towards you. And this figure appears to be made entirely out of clear crystal.
That thing isn't gigantic just because I'm so small now, right? That is actually that gigantic.
Oswald passes out.
Yeah, it's definitely Oswald.
Pearl kind of looks up and sees that and kind of hops to the nearest cover. Tree that she can hide behind, or rock or something, and kind of comes up from behind it and looks at it somewhat cautiously.
Yeah, I think Chrysobelle sighs at Oswald's unconscious body and kind of tries to pull him maybe out of sight a little bit and make it so he's a little bit more comfortable when he wakes up than in the heap that he's probably finding himself right now.
And Archie had hoped that changing form would cure him from the mustard gas, but he starts he seems to start coughing and spluttering in panic at seeing something so big, a bit like the rabbits get an adrenaline rush and they can panic very easily, and he kind of has some sort of physical reaction to seeing something so big. Coughing and sneezing, and his eyes streaming with streaming liquid, but he's sort of running around, not really getting into cover.
William's just kind of staring at this gigantic creature going towards him and just says, "Is this what I hear? Are you the one talking to me?"
I think between the behavior of Archie and William directly addressing this creature, it turns its crystalline head in your direction and changes course, taking just a single further step. Again, the ground trembles worse this time, and it kneels with this kind of tinkling sound that kind of draws it closer to you, and it lowers its head down towards you, almost uncomfortably close.
William doesn't really know how his body works. He does a rabbit poop as it happens.
Little thing, who are you? Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can now.
Is it doing the modulation?
No.
Great. Now I sound like an asshole. All right. He leans in, and with a deep voice,
He says, "Who are you?"
Archie kicks William.
My name's William Gibbs.
William Gibbs.
Okay, sure, yes.
William Gibbs is a strange name.
He's from New York.
New York, I've never heard of such a place. But I am not as well traveled as some. Where are you traveling?
We kind of just arrived. We don't know where. We were looking for safety and ended up here. We're kind of getting our bearing. Where is here?
Again, there's that kind of crystalline noise as his head turns at a slight angle. You are on the border of the kingdom of clubs. And he kind of stretches out a long crystalline arm in the direction that leads away from the green and verdant forest, deeper into the snowy lands. The realm of the White Queen. I have been sent to meet with her on a matter most urgent.
Okay. That means. Does that mean anything to anybody? That means absolutely. All those words were nothing. That's the hell is going. He just like sits down and puts his hand like, and then touches his ears and like flinches and just like, oh.
Oswald's an officer, but well, he's a corporal, but I don't think he's going to know what to do in this situation. Chrysobelle will speak for us. That one over there.
Me?
You've got a head on you. You've got a head on you. You've got sense.
A human head.
Yep. Speak to the gentleman and explain, or yeah. I don't really know what's going on, Chrysobelle, but you seem to have a head on you. You seem to know know right from wrong and what should be done in different situations. You saved Oswald for, you know.
It was just a little fence. Don't tell him I said that.
Oswald wakes up. What?
Oh, nothing. Are you okay?
He looks around. Oh, I thought this was all a nightmare.
And who are you?
Corporal Oswald Rathbone at your service.
You are a strange Kassir.
Oswald just scoots behind Chrysobelle. His form is way too big for her, so he just sticks out like a sore thumb.
A what?
Did he say a strange kisser?
I guess. I didn't understand. I mean, are we in Germany?
We've been wondering for a while. We might have got there, but I know they've got.
I do not know
stuff.
this place. A Kassir. Well, the people of the forest of Baja. And he points his crystalline arm in the other direction. This time, the virulent forest nearby. They're elf folk.
Elves? I'm an elf. And he kind of like taps his ear a little bit. Oh, thank you. What are you?
He kind of looks almost taken aback for a moment. And he says, I am Yaka Jeka. I am from the dwarven country in the north. The kingdom of diamonds.
You're a dwarf?
No, I am but their emissary, sent on their behalf to speak with the White Queen. I once was made of emeralds, but to better help me blend in, I was changed in color. I suppose...
You called
Go ahead.
the tall one an elf, a Kassir. What would we be called? It kind of points to herself and Archie and William.
You three are of the Levin people, yes? The rabbit folk.
Levin.
Yes. Most strange that none of you know.
Well, we're not actually from around here.
He kind of almost straightens up. You are outsiders?
I guess. We just came through that. And she'll point to the, I guess, the mirror behind. And now we're here. And we're different.
Have you ever heard of England, my good lad?
Or France.
America, perhaps?
No, are these people?
They're our homelands.
They are kingdoms from where we come from.
I see. Interesting.
Well, technically, two of them are republics, actually. Sorry.
And the other's an empire.
She'll kind of do an aside. I was trying to put it in terms you can understand.
Yes, I know. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
If you are outsiders, then you should come with me to speak with the White Queen. But first, I must seek out a local sage It is not far from here, at a place known as the Hoo-Hoo Rocks.
Who what?
The Hoo-Hoo Rocks. There is a sage there by the name of Sova. Very wise, very ancient. I wish to speak with him about this urgent matter before I visit the Queen. Will you come with me?
Yes.
Outsiders?
Yes, we will, won't we?
I have one question. Is the queen good in nature?
Is she a good queen or a bad queen?
The White Queen is benevolent and kind, unlike her sisters.
I think, guys, this guy is, well, we don't know who we are, but this guy seems friendly and reasonable enough, and look at the size of him. I think we should fall in with him.
I agree. I mean, he didn't eat us or anything, so...
I feel like we wouldn't be able to refuse even if we wanted to. So, sure.
At this point, you'd probably notice William's been very, very distracted, like fidgeting with his ears. Yeah, yes, yeah, we can go. And just kind of like keeps just like finagling with his ears and seems very agitated. Are you sure you're not the voice? Looking back up at the...
Oh.
The voice? What voice?
I'm hearing wisp. It won't get up. And she just keeps finicking with his... Never mind. It's fine.
Well,
never mind.
You do have very long ears, so you must hear things that I cannot.
Yes. That's what it... Yes. Yeah. That's what it is. Just keeps kind of fidgeting with this, but yeah, we can go. Who rocks? Yes, yeah, I heard that. Yeah.
Oswald takes everything he can not to giggle at the name Hoo Hoo Rocks.
Yeah, and I think you were probably the only one that can hear it, as Chrysobelle is saying this kind of under her breath. She's like, I swear I'm dreaming. I think this is all a dream, but they're all here and they're all talking. But this is a dream, right? This is a dream.
I would like to. Chrysobelle hears in her head. This is. I don't think this is the dream. I think this is a different reality.
So I hear that in my head.
Yes.
I think immediately Chrysobelle just kind of like has this look on her face as she's, hears this voice, and does it sound like you?
I just now unmuted.
Oh. Yes, it would sound like me.
And she'd immediately look to you then and like, I heard that.
Heard what? I didn't say anything. Wait, I didn't say anything out loud anyways. I thought something to you in my head. But...
And I heard it. I heard you in my head.
This place is strange.
Can you hear what I'm thinking?
No, are you thinking?
Oh, sorry. I thought... Cool. Never mind. Carry on.
Billy, are you hearing pearls too?
Something's been maybe. Bro, have you been making me offers?
No, most certainly not.
Offers?
It's fine. It's fine. It's no big deal. It's fine. Just, it's, ears and height and just, we're good.
What we need is a cup of tea. Oh, I don't seem to have my teapot.
Good, Yaka, Jeka, do you have, oh gosh, do you have any tea in the, do you have any tea in this world?
Tea. Yes, of course. The sage may have tea. The White
Oswald.
Queen most certainly will.
Oswald turns to Archie and he says, well, it's certainly not hell.
Well, we should go. We should hurry. And he kind of lowers one of his crystalline arms down. And as he does so, the shards that form like the palm and fingers of his hand kind of levitate away. And basically, like, his wrist rests upon the ground, almost like a ramp. His forearm, there's a large flat surface that all of you could easily fit onto.
William will hop on.
Well,
Sounds weird to say.
let's in for a penny, in for a pound.
Right? This can't get much stranger. And
I think
he
I weigh
certainly
about a
can-
pound.
And he certainly can walk much faster than we can.
Oswald takes one long striding step and gets on from where he is standing.
Chrysobelle just kind of shrugs and, yeah, I guess this is happening. This is real. This is now. And she'll climb on, still muttering under her breath.
And the crystals of his palm and fingers, the moment that you have stepped onto his forearm, Chrysobelle, they fold in kind of around you guys, but not the way a fist would close. More like a palisades or like a fence, with the top of it kind of leaning in just a little, seemingly to help keep you from falling from the considerable height that you are now at, as he raises you back up to his torso level and begins to stride along this border between these two forested regions. And that is where we're going to take our break. So, 5 to 10 minutes, smoke them if you got them, go to the bathroom, refill your drinks, kiss your spouse. I know I'm going to. And, yeah, sit tight. If you are watching this evening, thank you so much for tuning in, whether you're watching live with us or whether you're watching at some point in the future. Sit tight, and we will be right back. Hello, everyone. Welcome back from our break. Thank you so much for tuning in, whether you are watching live with us this evening or whether you're tuning in at some point in the future. I'm very, very pleased with how this has gone so far, all of the notes that we have managed to hit in such a very brief amount of time. I'm very, very eager to kind of get into the second half and see how the rest of this is going to play out. Thank you so much to these 5 wonderful players. All of these characters are so endeared to me already. I can't wait to hear how tragic this is going to get. And hopefully, a happy note or two mixed in there as well. We shall see. All right. Without further ado, you continue riding on the forearm of the crystal giant, Yakajeka, as he takes maybe only a dozen steps more before slowing his gait. And you can see ahead, directly on the border between this verdant forest and this tundra, there's a clearing, and in it there is a circle of stones that have been set. Tall, towering stones, each one of them in the visage of an owl, facing inward towards each other. The giant that is traveling with you lowers his arm down to the ground, once again resting his wrist just outside of this circle of stones, and then the crystals that had formed his palm and fingers separate, once again levitating somewhat at a distance and allowing you to step free.
We're here already.
Yes. We traveled some distance for you, though.
And she'll look around. Are we all okay? Well, as much as we can be right now.
Oswald throws up a few leaves and pine cones.
That is quite a fast way to travel, but I think I like my feet, as it were, on the ground.
Yes. Being connected to the ground is always more settling, I find.
And Archie is running around in circles, stopping every now and then and sort of putting his head up and sniffing the air, but just sort of enjoying being back on the hopping and jumping.
At least one of us is starting to enjoy this new form.
This is... I do like it. What are these owls? He says, gingerly hopping into the center of the circle and looking around.
The moment you breach the edge of the circle, Archie, all of these clocks, these tall rocks, in unison, their heads bobble upwards at odd angles, and they go, hoo hoo! Hoo hoo!
Instinct kicks in and he looks for a place to hide.
I think Chrysobelle would just actually say, oh, that makes sense now.
So where are the rocks? Those are the hoo-hoos. Where's...
They're sitting on rocks.
That's yeah. He just oh. And
Archie
then-
starts trying. Sorry.
To clarify, they are not owls sitting on rocks. The top of the rocks, the head of these carved owls, is what has shaken upwards and is making this noise.
Don't disturb my reality. Those are owls on rocks.
And Archie starts digging a hole, maybe a trench.
No more trenches.
Hoo-hoo rocks. I see. it's kind of funny if you think about it, you know? It's a literal play on words, like... Okay.
I think maybe Chrysobelle laughs a little bit too late at the joke that you were trying to make, realizing that that's what you were trying to do, and she was a little bit what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of off-put exactly at what's happening around us right now.
Oswald appreciates it, and he blushes, and you'll see like a few flowers just sort of boop, 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 come up from his cheeks and then peel off and die away. And he'll just kind of watch them go. I'm not even questioning it anymore at this rate.
Was that something you could do before the change, or is this new?
Very funny. What about that pooping you did earlier? Is that something you could do before, or?
Could I poop? Yes.
Well,
Could you not?
We must find
He
Sova.
could.
Where is Sova? The giant crystalline figure begins to kind of look around the clearing, frantic. I must speak with him. And that's when, between two of these hoo-hoo rocks, you see another figure emerge. First, you see the glow of their eyes. Four pairs, 4 eyes in total, glowing from this darkness. And as the figure emerges, you realize it is a figure, a humanoid, with an owl perched on its glove. And both of them are turning their head opposite of one another, but almost at the same angles. The humanoid looking impossible. He steps to the center of these stones, these heads of these owls once more going, "Hoo, hoo, hoo, hoo." The figure steps forward, and your crystalline companion says, Sova, I have come many miles seeking your guidance. Your guidance on what to do about the force that is destroying the outlying borders of my people's kingdom. The storms come, and they leave nothing behind them. What do we do? However, the man and his owl only have eyes for your group. He holds his other hand up towards the crystalline creature and then turns to you and approaches. Who are you? Who have we here?
I knew who I was. I'm not so sure I know who I am now.
Corporal Oswald Rathbone at your service. We are from Earth.
You are outsiders. Hmm.
So we've been told. This is
How come you to Dowrenland?
Dowrenland. She turns to Oswald and Pearl. That was the message it said.
Yes, on the markings. Yes. And we will regale the sage with our tale.
Take some time to regale what has happened to you just over the short days that it has been since you first found one another. And both the bird and the man just continue to stare at you with these brightly glowing golden colored eyes, unblinking. Both of their heads turned at these strange angles. The owl then turns its head almost completely around, facing behind it, and whispers into the man's ear. He then turns and he says, Sova knows what is happening. Ooh. He has spoken to Arkham. He has spoken to Archidemus. What must be done? What you must do. You realize Sova the Sage is not this man, but the owl.
You're not Sova?
Who? Me? No. Who? Sova. And he kind of turns his head back again, almost at a... Again, this impossible pivot of his large head, this mane of feathers kind of rustling in this light as he holds the owl aloft. The owl bows its head to you and spreads its wings completely out, almost as if bowing to you, and then rights itself.
Oh. I think Chris would just nod her head.
Yeah, that actually kind of makes sense. You know, owls in mythology have always been associated with the traits of wisdom and sage-like qualities. It would rather make sense that the sage in this land would be an owl. Yes. This all makes sense.
Archie is more concerned with the fact that he's seen owls eat rabbits, and he's sneaked around the back, and he thought he might flee away, but instead he's tried to surround this owl, and he's on the other side of it, watching from the other side, ready to spring from behind if it tries any funny business with any of his companions.
At some point, this owl spins his head around completely backwards, its golden eyes setting upon you, Caius, and moments after, the man's head mirrors and turns almost completely around backwards to also peer at you.
I'm not looking for trouble.
Ooh, there's no need to slink around in the darkness. Ooh. I wish you no harm, nor does Sova.
Trust in words, but proceed with caution. That's what my mother said.
The owl speaks to the man again. The man chuckles. Sova has recognized your wisdom.
It was my mother, not mine, really.
He turns his head back towards the rest of you and says, "It is good fortune that you have found your way here to Dowrenland. There is a trouble. The storm is coming. As our friend has said. It leaves nothing behind it. You see, Dowrenland is made from the dreams of children, made manifest. This force that is destroying our world can only be undone by an outsider. He kind of tilts his head almost so that his eyes are vertical of one another, staring at all of you. This land, it makes the belief in the impossible possible. Even now, even your story is being watched by others somewhere else, as if through a glass. To defeat this force, an outsider must stand between both worlds, straddle one foot in one, the other in the second. As the storm tries to claim you, that is not something that you can do alone. You must have people there to help you, to support you. When you link your hands together, one of you, or all of you, must make those watching believe that you believe. You must chant the words, "I do believe in magic," again and again. It's the only thing that will protect you from this nothing.
With all due respect, Mr. Sage, and William keeps going back and forth whether to look at the person or the owl when addressing. At least where we come from, magic can't be real.
I feel like at this point, we've already crossed that threshold, my friend. Everything that we know, all natural law, has been turned on its head. We are in a land birthed from the imagination of children. If anything, I would say saying magic wouldn't be real would be, well, insane.
I may be going insane then.
If this place is fueled by the imagination of the children in our world, then I'm afraid that there might be nothing we can do. There's a terrible war going on in our world where people are dying, families are being ripped apart, children aren't able to be children.
A lot of us have had to grow up very quickly.
Perhaps that is the very reason why now this storm looms upon our horizons. Perhaps it is the fact that there are no more children who believe.
Well,
Will you save us if you can?
Well, that's terrible, Oswald says as he thinks back to the innocence he once had that was taken away from him by his family, by this blasted war. And out of character for him, he will step forward and kind of stand tall for the first time in his life and say, "It would be my honor to help you."
I don't know if it's the tree thing or the confidence or a little bit of both, but that's a good look on you, Oswald.
Well, stiff upper lip, as we always say.
Brits have the strangest phrases. What was that you said, Archie? In for a penny and for a pound? I feel like that may be the way it gets us out of here. He starts fidgeting with his ears again.
We could always use some of that Yankee confidence.
So then, if the plan is to help this strange land, these strange people, what are you going to do? What comes next?
Chrysobelle just kind of looks at the pair with the glowing eyes and is like, but what can we do? How can we help?
One of you must stand between the two worlds in the face of this storm.
Oh, so that was literal.
He kind of tilts his head once again.
I will do it, if it must be one of us. I watched my own family, my own society extinguished as a child, and probably a lot of my own youth with it. And I do not want to see that happen to anybody else.
I right well say, if there's no imagination left, well, there's no bloody reason to live. I will stand with you.
Well, I'm certainly not going to let you go. The two of you go alone. I'll be there with you.
can't go martyr yourself. Let's take it as we go and see what happens. But I'm in. I'm in.
There's a bit of an awkward silence.
We all kind of look at
Just
Archie.
look over simultaneously.
Well, I'll certainly support you. I think. Well, yeah, I've got nothing else. You're the only people I've got in this world. I lost the people in the other world, in my village. I'll come with you. Do what needs to be done. He says, looking slightly suspiciously at the owl.
So, know where this storm is? Or should we go to the Queen and ask?
He says, "The storm will be upon the place where you have entered within a mere day and a half. Perhaps there would be a good place.
So go back to where we came from. All right. That seems easy enough to do. It took us only moments to get here, really.
So, do you mean the border between our world and the other? Or do you mean the border between the icy bit and... was it the summer?
The place that you have stepped through to visit us here in Dowrenland. The border between worlds.
Oh.
The giant crystalline figure that is standing nearby, who listened to all of this in rapt attention, kind of makes a small, like almost a clearing of the throat noise. It sounds like scraping crystals on one another. I must go to the White Queen. I'm afraid I cannot take you back to the place where you entered. It should not be too far, I hope.
It's understandable. You were already on your path there whenever you encountered us. Certainly shouldn't take us too long to get back.
Probably longer than we're used to. I'm kind of just pointing out our sizes, but we should be okay.
Shouldn't be any trouble. Just a hop, skip, and a jump. Isn't that right, Archie?
I don't want to speak for that, but I feel like all three of the 11s just look at him. Just like, really? I at least will be.
Oh, yes.
Apologies.
Let's go back to the border then and look back at the storm.
The crystal Yakajeka looks down at all of you and says, I am very happy to have stumbled upon you. It was good to meet, and my hopes and the hopes of my people go with you. Good luck, outsiders.
Thank you, Yaka.
Thank you. I guess with the weird things going on, we were lucky that you were the one that we met first. Thank you. You are the kindest giant crystal creature I've ever met. Yeah.
He looks genuinely touched by this. Thank you. I must be going. There is much to do. Much ground to cover. And he kind of turns his head back in the direction that you came, and you can see those rolling thunderheads moving forward with that teal lightning ripping back and forth between these darkened clouds. I fear time, however. And he kind of lets it hang in the moment. Then he rises to his crystalline legs and turns to the south. It begins to stride away with booming, shaking footsteps.
I think Chrysobelle would look at all of the rest of them. Well, I guess we should leave now. I mean, she kind of gives herself a little. We don't want to be late.
Very well. Thank you, kind owl sage. Cheerio. Ta-ta. Did anybody remember which way we came from?
That way? And she would just kind of be like vaguely indicating a wide swath of direction.
It's that way. Yes, it's that way. He says, pointing in the opposite direction to the giant.
Righto. Good eyes. Good day. And Oswald will gangly stumble away.
The four eyes kind of just stare back at you at odd angles to one another. You don't say another word as they watch you go.
Yeah, Archie avoids their gaze as much as he can. He's uncomfortable under the gaze of the owls. Tries to hide behind Oswald and Chrysobelle. And actually, he's got a talent to do that, so he's quite good at that.
Excellent. So, is there anything that the five of you would like to talk about, discuss, or do as you make the journey that is maybe the rest of this day back to the mirror that you stepped through?
I'd say at some point, William starts getting all agitated again, scratching at his ears, and then his ears just perk up, and you hear him just say, magic is real. Can you do that? You see him get agitated again, and he's still kind of walking, but behind the group a little bit, slowing down. Yes, I will. Yes, anything. Yes. And as he says yes, every time he says yes, where his fur was like not snow white, but pretty white, probably as white as Archie's and Pearl's, it starts to gray and become a little bit more gaunt. His ears droop a little bit. And like this aura kind of swirls around him. And he's just kind of like engulfed in just like a blackness for not even a second, and then it disappears. And as he appears again, he's gone. The fur is a lot more gray. His ears are more droopy, but he's no longer standing on the ground. He is sitting on this skeletal dog, and he's just petting the head. Reggie, look, Reggie's back. You did that. He looks at Oswald. It's real. You were right.
Oswald is just, his mouth is like agape. Huh. You look malnourished.
I'm good, fine. I'm fine.
Oswald plucks a leaf off of himself and hands it to you. Are you hungry?
No. Strangely. I feel like we probably should be, but no.
Well, this place is very strange, and yet quite charming, in a way.
He's just not even listening. He's just like petting Reggie, who's bigger than him at this point. Because it is now small size.
Oswald avoids Reggie as he knows that dogs like sticks.
Anyone else?
Pearl's not quite sure what to do about whatever that just was, but she's a little concerned about William and how kind of bedraggled he looks now. So she's kind of going to give him a little bit of a wider berth as they kind of travel. And you guys will probably individually hear her say something to you in your heads as she kind of starts to play around with being able to cast a message off and on.
And I think each time you contact Chrysobelle in that way, it gets less and less shocking to her until at some point maybe she's almost used to having you in her head, if you will.
This is actually pretty handy. I don't have to depend on a radio and worry about it breaking or not.
How far away can you do that?
I don't know. Let's see. And she'll kind of bound back a little bit or ahead, I guess, and kind of stop and test it out off and on, trying to see at what point she can't hear her anymore. And we'll also kind of figure out that whenever she tries to, anybody, but if Chrysobelle tries to respond back to me, that even if I am too far away to really be able to hear her normally, that I can actually hear her as a whisper in my own kind of ear.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I think we probably test that out until we know that I can kind of communicate back. And I don't know how it's working, but
me neither.
Okay, so did you have something, Caius?
Yeah, one time
Yes.
when they stopped for a tea break or something like that, Archie approaches Chrysobelle and says, Chrysobelle, when you trained as a nurse, you've trained in physical wounds and looking after people, but how about the brain? Do you know when the mustard gas took me and I thought I was not going to come back, I have some memories of light and dark, of strange, fantastic images from that time, and some horrific, some beautiful, but strange, and that I couldn't. That later, when I returned to consciousness, I couldn't really put into words. And now I'm wondering, is this the same? Are we dead or lingering on death's door, and this is all what is going on? And I'm afraid that this is just going on in my head, but I can't figure it out. But because you're the medical person, I'm talking to you, thinking maybe you can help me think this through. If we go through with this, will this take us back to the trenches and death and the destruction there? Will this save us and put us back through that again? Or will we stay here? I don't want to do this. I don't want to go through with this ritual if it saves our lives and takes me back to the trenches. What do you think's going on?
And Chrysobelle is looking at you, speaking to her so earnestly. And I don't know much more than you. I don't know where we are. I don't know what's going to happen, but I don't believe that we would be put here if we couldn't do something, and that it wouldn't be better when we've done it. Maybe this is a test. Maybe we are dead, and this is our test. This is our judgment, if you will, before we go on to where we're supposed to be. And maybe this will show if we're proving wanting and worthy of his blessing, or if we are. I don't know what to say to you, Archie. I don't know.
I don't want to go back. That's all I know.
But what if this fixes that too?
I just don't know. It might, but I don't know whether it will. Let's try it.
Yeah. That's all we can do is try and hope. Keep the faith.
I lost. Well, we'll see.
Oswald will kind of watch as the two of them talk, and then he'll speak up and says, "If I'm to be perfectly honest, this is, I think, the happiest I've ever been. Now, us being together, I think, is probably for the best. Us being here is for the best. And if I can, Archie, I don't think I'd like to go back either. I'd like to stay here with you, if that's possible. There's nothing left for me in the real world. Maybe there's something we can find here. But I think first things first is we've got to save it."
I hope saving this keeps us here and doesn't send us back. That's what I'm scared of. But we don't know. And the only thing is, Yaka Jaka seem friendly. That's the only thing we can go on. Let's trust the one person who seemed friendly.
Oh, from what I've seen of the rest of the world, so far this place is an awful lot better. But whatever happens, glad I can face it with you. And Oswald will kind of offer his hand to Archie and Chrysobelle and the gang.
William will put his hand in and just kind of look back and see the group and see Reggie and just say, "It's this place is starting to grow on me. I don't know what the future holds for us, but whatever it is, I want it to be with you lot. Even if you're obsessed with tea time."
And I wasn't going to make a comment about that growing on me joke, but Oswald will see if he can grow a few tea leaves on his shoulder.
The five of you press onward, your hopes and spirits high, in contrast to what is happening around you in the sky. Every step you take, closing the distance between you and the portal that brought you to this strange world. Above you, the sky roils, as if almost more looking at waves from beneath the water than actual storm clouds, with how fast these move and the ferocity and violence that they show with each peal of lightning that tears across the sky. The hope is the only thing that you have to cling to. One of you, whoever wishes to volunteer, please. Nobody. Uh-oh. Oh, Karen. Chrysobelle, you spot a strange shape on the most prominent of these thunderheads. It takes a moment, but you realize that it has taken the shape of an enormous winged beast. The lightning crackling throughout this thing as if it had a skeleton. And as you press forward, it opens its mouth and swoops downward towards, you realize, the mirror. Lightning arcs out of its mouth, making contact with two different places on the ground. And you can see that you're not as far as you first thought. But it also would appear that you will not be the only ones at the mirror this time. Two large creatures, crackling with the same teal energy of the lightning that came from this thunderhead's mouth, stand about the clearing where this mirror is. One of them heading directly for it.
We have to hurry. We have to hurry. They're trying to destroy the mirror, I think.
Bloody hell, well, we bloody well can't have that. Come on, lads! And Oswald will take his giant scarecrow strides and just book it towards this place.
I think Chrysobelle will hike up her skirts as best as she can and run after him. Trying not to trip, yeah.
Coughing and sputtering, Archie follows.
William will jump on Reggie and start barreling after them as well.
Come on, Pearl!
Yeah. Pearl's actually going to kind of go down to almost all fours. Kind of run as a combination between all fours and being on 2 legs. But she'll follow suit.
The 311s move with surprising speed, bounding here and there through the snow, and Oswald easily is able to catch up and surpass them because of his long strides. Chrysobelle, you have a little bit of a harder time, but you're managing to keep up. You're picking your path well. As the snow here starts to deepen and you near the mirror. Everyone please roll for initiative. You can post it in our chat if you would. Let's see what these things have. Wow. Alright, let's see what we've got here. Ooh, 22 for Oswald. Oswald, you are going to lead us off.
What is the nearest storm monster that he can see?
The one that has turned to kind of face you guys at the edge of the clearing, not the one that has gone to the mirror.
Oswald is just striding towards this large monstrosity, and he feels in him a heroicism that he has never felt since he was but a kid pretending to be a swashbuckling pirate hero in his backyard. And he points his hand forward, and his hand kind of opens up slightly, and from his hand a thorny dart flies out and towards this beast, as I am firing my hand crossbow at this creature.
Points for the pun.
Hey, thank you. And I'm wondering if I can use my my ability as an inquisitive to examine this creature. It has where I can basically take an insight check against its deception check, and if I can figure it out, I can get a sneak attack bonus, my sneak attack damage, if this attack hits.
Certainly. You said
Absolutely.
It is a what kind of roll from them?
My insight versus their deception.
Deception, okay.
Yeah.
Well, all right then. What'd you get?
I rolled a 19 plus 7, 26.
Oh, yeah. They got a total of an 8, so they absolutely failed.
Heck yeah. All right. So I will aim this hand dart true and fire my thorn bolt towards it. That is an 18 to hit.
Yes, that will make contact.
Wunderbar. It's going to take a total of 15 piercing damage.
This thing thunks into, well, there's not really actually anything for it to thunk into, truthfully. This thing bolt shoots forth from you, and you watch as it disappears into the roiling black thunderclouds that form its body, but you don't see it come out the other side. It doesn't look like it pierced a target that you might have expected a bolt to do. And though you can tell that this likely sustained some damage, it might not be as much as you had hoped.
Well, it was worth a shot. Come on, lads! And Oswald will instinctively send out his hand and leave roots grow out from his right hand and form into a long, beautiful woodland rapier jutting from his hand. and he will then use his mobile feet to try to dash around this guy. He's going to try to help flank him with his friends.
Excellent.
And after that, I will end my turn.
Okay. As Oswald begins to nimbly make his way around this swirling creature, this large storm, Pearl, it is your turn. You're muted, Jamie. There you go.
How far away are we actually from it?
I would say you're probably 25 feet away from the nearest storm, and I would say 40 feet away from the one that is approaching the mirror.
Okay. She's kind of going to actually also start crackling with energy kind of herself. Looks a little similar, but more of kind of a blue energy. And she's kind of looking at her hands almost like she's not quite sure what's going on. But a beam of blue energy lances out from her towards the creature, the one that's about 25, 30 feet away. And an arc of lightning goes from me to it. And it needs it's witch bolt, so it needs a
I think it's an attack roll from you. Is that
yeah,
right?
it's a range. I have to make a range for it. So.
Okay.
I'm
Do you need to know that number?
trying to figure out that number on my sheet.
Yeah, so the one that you have written on your spell sheet at the top, your spell attack bonus, that's what you're going to add.
That's a 12.
A 12 is not going to make contact, unfortunately.
Okay.
You shoot this lightning towards it, and you actually watch as it reaches up a hand and kind of like accepts the lightning into its body and just shoots it out the other side, seemingly unfazed by it. Is there anything else that you'd like to do with your turn?
Not at the moment, no.
Okay.
So no.
All right. Oswald and Pearl have taken the assault to these creatures. These creatures now turn their attentions to their intended targets. The one at the mirror reaches out a hand, and as it sweeps this lightning claw kind of through the air, it passes through the boughs of several trees and rakes across the outside of the mirror. When it passes through the boughs of the trees, those of you who are paying attention notice the leaves, the branches, and the snow itself that are in the path of this claw disappear as if swallowed whole. It rakes its claws down at this mirror with a horrendous noise as it ends its attack, striking at the ground, and the snow at the ground where it strikes disappearing as well. This second creature turns towards, let's see, nearest one, two. William, this creature closes with you and is going to bring one of its large lightning claws down towards you. Is going to miss you, I'm sure, with a 10. You feel the static electricity as this thing swipes near you, and it's as if a lightning bolt has struck nearby. You can feel this, almost this draw, this pull this magnetism almost as it passes closely, but does not make contact. Chrysobelle, it's your turn.
Chrysobelle, seeing all this happening in front of her and seeing the thing attack the mirror and not really knowing what she can do. I mean, she seems to be the same as she always was. She doesn't feel any different, but she yells out at the creature, "How dare you get away from that!" And what happens may not even be known to her, but some sort of power radiates out from Chrysobelle. And she is using her channel to divinity to curse that creature, the one that's the closest. So the probably talking in the mirror. So the next time myself or an ally of mine hits this creature with an attack, the creature has vulnerability to all of that attack's damage. So, and then the curse will end. But that's her action.
Excellent. As this thing has been put under this curse, is there a visual look to this?
Maybe so these things kind of glow with some sort of like that teal energy, right?
Lightning, absolutely.
Yeah, so maybe it darkens a little bit so it's not like almost shimmers, like there's a shimmer around it that's kind of obscuring its power, so it looks, for lack of a word, weaker than maybe it was before seconds ago.
Yeah, the lightning is not sparking and arcing as violently as it was just moments before. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, Archie.
Archie goes bowling forwards on all fours, running up to. Is there one attacking? Did you say there's one attacking the? One is in the portal already, or attacking the portal?
Yes, one of them just drug his claws across the portal, and the other is kind of engaged with the front line of your group.
I'll go. Can I get to the portal in one sort of dash?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, I dash up. I use my action to dash up to the portal, and I use my cunning action to. No, I use my cunning action to dash, and I use my main action to dodge. So I'm there, sort of like a rabbit, startled in headlights, sort of trying to avoid its worst attacks. But I'm there in the 1 foot on either side, going, "I believe in magic! I believe in magic!"
Excellent. So Archie has stepped in this mirror. He's bounding back and forth frantically, chanting that he believes in magic, though nothing yet seems to have happened. That brings us to William.
Yeah, so William was a bit not quick on the draw because as like the combat started and the adrenaline started pumping, his ears started to get agitated again. It was different this time though. It's not the whispering; he just feels like a thumbing of vroom, vroom. And what happens is, as this creature came in and attacked the group, an energy seemed to pulse in between his ears. And the reason it probably missed was it got hit or shot at as I cast Eldritch Blast. I'm going to attack the one that is closer to the group. And as that energy is kind of coming out of his ears, this weird shadowy energy is coming out of Reggie as I use my bonus action to hex that creature as well. For a non-natural 20, a dirty 20.
That'll do.
Okay. I told you I needed D10s. Now, is this the one that got the divinity, or?
It has been damaged.
But is
But
that
is
the one that?
that I cursed?
Yeah.
I think so. You said the one
Yes,
that was
okay.
closest to the group, right, Chrysobelle?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
that's going to be.
Okay.
I'll just double. So that's going to be. So it'll be 8, 16, and it's just the damage in general is doubled, right? Not it's vulnerable, so that's gonna be 20 damage total.
And that is force damage? Right?
Yes, force damage.
Perfect, okay.
And that will be my turn. I'll put myself in front of Reggie, and then that'll be my turn.
All right, how much was the damage again, total?
20 total.
20, all right.
And that vulnerability thing is gone.
Sweet, okay. This thing appears to be racked by the force of your Eldritch Blast as it kind of knocks it to the side, and for a moment the clouds that kind of form that portion of it kind of dissipate before kind of coming back together and coalescing to form its shape once more, but there is less of it in volume. Okay. The storm around you rages on. Wind picks up and begins to whip the branches and the snow around you about violently, stinging your face with how quickly it is throwing it around. And the rain begins as sleet just coming down from the sky upon you. The storm's intensifying. And you realize you may not have long. Oswald. Yeah, we'll have to fix it whenever she comes back. You're muted, though.
Could Oswald see if there's like a source of this like storm demon that he's fighting?
There is definitely this energy, this crackling teal energy that's kind of coursing throughout his body. It's kind of hard to pinpoint necessarily the precise center of that energy, but it is absolutely kind of its life force, it seems.
Oswald's gonna turn to Pearl, who is engaged with this creature too, with him, and he says, "This might be a really bad idea. Please help me if it goes wrong." And he's gonna use his 200 feet of rope that I bought for him. I imagine like a strange vine kind of like falls out of his rib cage, and he kind of looks at it for a second and gets an idea, and he'll for his bonus action kind of tie off this vine to like a tree or something. He's going to take a step back, then do a running jump, and sword out front is going to try to fly into this storm demon and try to stab at this energy.
Okay. You leap forward at this being. Go ahead and make your attack.
Awesome. That is a natural 1.
Okay. You leap forward towards this thing, and as you attempt to strike at its core, you reach the outer fringes of its kind of physical form, and you are immediately swept up into this swirling cloud of a body. I need you,
Bad idea.
please.
Bad idea. Bad idea. Bad idea.
I need you, please, to make a will save or a wisdom saving throw.
Absolutely. Wisdom save. That is 21.
Excellent. Okay. You can feel this tingling sensation everywhere where there is exposed skin on your body. This almost like the pulling of cotton. Pearl.
So I'm just swirling around in this thing.
Yes, you have been caught
Okay.
up in the swirl of this. I don't know if you have to take an action.
I think the only thing I had was I tied myself off to a tree earlier, but
Yes. So it is you and the rope that are being like spun around this creature's form.
awesome.
Let's see. Oh, okay. Huh. I guess that's just something that this creature does on its turn. Okay. All right. Let's see. That was Oswald. Pearl. It is your turn.
Okay, Pearl is going to. He said he tied himself to a tree.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm going to go over by that tree and grab a hold of the rope and start trying to pull him back in out of the storm.
Okay. Make an athletics check for me, if you will. You can have advantage because there is the rope here, and it's anchored.
It's going to be a 7.
Ooh.
I'm so sorry, Oswald.
Okay. So you grab a hold of this rope and try to pull, and just about the moment that you kind of throw your weight into your pull, it actually jerks you kind of forward, kind of a hop and a step. And you realize that this thing is wound up into this storm cloud very, very tightly. It's going to take a lot to pull him free.
Okay. I would like to use an action surge. Because that counts as an action, I'm
Yes,
assuming?
it would. Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'd like to use an action surge to get me an additional action, which I would like to use to cast the spell Thunder Wave. So I'm holding on to the rope, and this may or may not work or not, but I'm holding on to the rope and realizing that I'm not going to be able to pull him in with just my strength. So Pearl's going to thunk her foot down on the ground, her rabbit foot down on the ground, and cast Thunder Wave and try to force myself 10 feet backwards. I don't know if it works. That's
I think
the reverse of what it typically does, but
yeah. Typically, it throws people away from you, but if you want the intention to be that it'll throw you back, I'm fine with that. Make a let's call it an acrobatics roll.
A little better at that one. 23.
Oh, yes. So yeah, you easily kind of thump and kind of maybe even do like a backward somersault, distancing yourself just a bit away from the situation and landing on your feet with no problem whatsoever, with the grace of a small rabbit. Excellent. Okay, that was Pearl. All right. The one that is on the mirror seems to have taken the bait, Archie, and is going to try to swing at you. It has disadvantage, I believe, because you took the dodge action.
Yes.
Okay. Oh. Does a... Oh, yeah. Does a dirty 20 hit you?
Oh, yes.
Okay. All right. So, this lightning claw strikes down at you and is going to deal 14 points of force damage. And I need you, please, to make a wisdom saving throw.
I get a 16.
Excellent. You feel that same strange sensation, that tingling on the part where this attack raked across you, almost like the pulling of cotton, kind of at the surface of your skin. The one that is wound up with Oswald at the moment is going to attempt to fling you. You need to make a strength saving throw, please.
Ooh. I have a -1 to that.
Oh dear.
Yeehaw, fellas.
YOLO.
I have a hold on the rope too.
Okay, excellent.
So, I got a 0.
Oh,
What was the DC?
it wasn't a 0.
Wasn't -1 or anything. Dang it.
Wow. Okay. So that's you might want to retire that die. Just saying.
It's usually nice to me, but not today. Must be because it's backwards Fantasyland, I guess.
That's exactly what it is. Okay. You are flung 20 feet away, closer to the mirror, and you are going to take. God, what would the rope? I don't know that the rope would. I don't think the rope's going to help, unfortunately, in this particular situation.
Not with a 0, I'd imagine.
That's very true. Okay, so you take 17 points of bludgeoning damage as you slam into a tree that is downed on the ground. Okay, that is the two of them. Chrysobelle, it is now your turn.
Okay, Chrysobelle is seeing all this, almost watching in horror. Does it look like Oswald is down for the count, or is he still moving around? Writhing in pain, that kind of thing.
He's a bit cracked. A few of his limbs are a bit creaky, and he's, let's say on a scale of 1 to 40, he's at a 23.
Okay. Yeah, so she will be yelling at this creature, the one that flung him around, like, leave him alone. And basically, as she reaches out towards him, a burst of light is going to explode from her hand, which of course will shock her afterwards, but she is casting guiding bolt against this creature. Oh, that's a horrible roll. That's a 12 to hit.
This will pass harmlessly through this creature without having any effect whatsoever.
That is unfortunate. I don't think I can do anything else. Yeah, that's all she can do at this point. She'll stay where she's at and watch as the light harmlessly goes through it, but then kind of looking at her hands afterwards, like, that came from me.
All right, that brings us back to Archie.
The lightning blow that struck him has brought out his wheezing and coughing, and his eyes are streaming. But he reaches down to the holster where by instinct tells him his Webley Mark IV pistol is, but it's not. But he pulls out a bone-handled knife that he finds there, and just not knowing what to do, he kind of jumps forward instinctively and stabs out at the thing, trying to stab it, saying, I believe in magic, but in his heart, even though he can see it all around him, he thinks it's all, he thinks he's actually dying somewhere, and this is all a figment of his imagination, and it's all, it's not magic at all, it's just the hallucinations of somebody who's dying. And he, with an armor, hits an AC of 22.
Absolutely, yes.
But for 8 points damage only.
This is piercing?
Yep.
Okay. Okay. Again, you swipe out at this being of swirling air, parting the dark clouds that form the base of its legs, and they part with your blade, but you can tell it didn't cut the way a knife normally does, and it kind of coalesces back behind the blade after a moment. The rest of you hear Archie proclaiming, "I do believe in magic, I do believe in magic," over and over again, but it doesn't seem to be doing anything just yet.
His persuasion roll isn't very good.
All right. William, it is your turn. You're muted.
Yep.
I never do that. So he's still kind of like getting used to what the hell just happened to my ears. So he kind of is having issues getting it to happen again. So he kind of just puts them together and rubs them like almost like static electricity. It does actually kick, and he is going to cast Eldritch Blast at the one closer to the group again. Once I find my D20, there you are. 13?
Sadly, no. That is going to pass through it.
As he's just like rubbing them, he just like shoots it off this way, but it like curves. And he's just like, "Oh, that's not." It like almost hits Archie. No, oh, no. Oof. He's gonna believe in magic if I hit him with that. Yeah, that'll. I only have one bolt right now. That'll be my turn.
Sure thing. Okay. Nearby, there's going to be a crash of thunder as a streak of lightning strikes the ground near you. I need... Let's see here. I'm going to Chrysobelle and Oswald. The two of you are apparently somewhat close to one another. When this strike occurs as a bolt of lightning flashes down, I need both of you please to make a dexterity saving throw.
Lightning travels down the rope.
Oh, it might. Yeah. Pearl, I will need you to roll one as well. You can have advantage, please. You can kind of see it coming down this rope towards you.
I got a 19 on that save.
Okay, excellent.
Got a 21.
That's gracious. Okay. Both of those are passes.
It's a saving throw against what?
Dexterity. You have advantage.
Okay. Yeah. It's a 19.
Okay, excellent. All three of you pass, which means you will all take half. And I just rolled, as per the spell, and got 1 point shy of max. So each of you are going to take... just had a brain fart, sorry. 14 points of damage. Lightning. This teal bolt blasts a hole in the ground of dirt and rock and snow alike nearby, and those of you who can see watch as two tendrils arc out, striking Oswald and Chrysobelle, and also dancing along the rope towards Pearl. All of them seem to avoid the worst of it, but it still wreaks havoc upon them. Time is certainly running out. Another bolt, perhaps maybe even the lightning or the thunder itself, has caused a portion that was scratched by the claws of this creature to crack and beginning to kind of spiderweb out away from that section of damaged mirror. Oswald, it is your turn.
Oswald is looking bad. The lightning struck him hard, and his skin, once beautiful bark, is now cracked and burned and charred. Singes fly off of him as he barely pulls himself up, his wooden form creaking and cracking. He looks around, he's breathing heavily as he stares towards the damaged mirror and the creatures in front of it. And he realizes they can't break any further. And he looks to Chrysobelle and Pearl and he says, "You can do this. I believe in you." And he takes a deep breath and he says, "Come on, Oswald. Be the hero." And he's going to run and stand in front of the mirror and stand between the mirror and between the storm and begin screaming, "I do believe in magic. I do believe in magic. I do believe in magic."
Archie, you see as Oswald has done this, between the two of you, there is a spark. Just the smallest of lights, not the teal lightning of this storm that is raging all around you, but of white, of pale golden sunlight. This small little spark, and the rays seem to reach between the two of you, almost connecting you. Pearl, it is your turn.
She's somewhat close to where Oswald was.
Yeah, close enough at least.
Okay. So she's actually going to, seeing him take that last hit, she's going to run over towards him and hand him a potion of healing if he'll take it.
Oh, yeah.
Hand you two, one with each hand. And also kind of look at the storms and kind of shake her head like, we can't. There's nothing we have. I don't have anything that can fight these. And maybe the best way to defeat them is this, and stand in the doorway as well, and start to chant that I do believe in magic. Kind of close her eyes and thinking back on everything that's happened since they've been here, and realize that magic is real, and kind of find that little bit of her inner child, that what shred was left, that begins to believe it with all of her heart as she continues chanting.
Oswald and Archie, the two of you notice another spark of light that appears between you and Pearl, connecting the three of you with this ray of sunshine. These creatures continue to rage on, now with so many of you standing in defiance in this mirror, turning their attention to you. There are three of you. The one that was already at the mirror is going to continue attacking Archie. The second, who is now striding over in that direction. Anybody who has a melee weapon ready against that creature can take an attack of opportunity if they'd like, as it steps towards the mirror.
I could take an attack of opportunity. Let's go. Natural 20.
Good. It paid its dividends.
Huh. It's just saving up.
All right. Yeah. So the way that I do criticals is it is maximum die damage plus modifiers, so max total damage, and then you roll your dice a second time and add your modifiers a second time.
All right. I could get with that. I'm a fan. Let's see here.
Make crits great again.
And then halve it for resistance.
Exactly.
Well, you know.
Okay, then that will be 22.
Okay.
Make crits great again.
My presidential slogan. That's what I'm running on.
Yeah, my fault.
Can't do worse than... Oh, never mind. All right. So, you once again slam into this creature, cutting at it, and it doesn't do enough to... It doesn't do what it should. This thing is just not made of real matter, of real stuff, of tangible material, and it's difficult to find your purchase with it. But it reels from a part of your attack all the same. However, it does close and is going to attack Pearl. Okay. Let's see. The attack against Archie. It was a 17 hit.
Yes.
Oh, okay. I'll come back to that in just a moment. Pearl. Does a 16 hit you? You're muted. You're still muted, Jamie.
If I do a reaction to cast shield, invisible barrier magical force appears and protects me until the start of my next turn. You have +5 bonus to AC. I'm guessing I still take the attack. It just...
So what does it make your armor class?
affects it adds a 5.
Okay.
So
making it what total?
A 19 with the 10, which I'm not used to.
Okay. So that misses. And it's the difference of your shield spell. So let me roll up the damage for Archie here, and then I want you to, if you would, please describe what it looks like as your shield spell stops this thing from making contact. Archie, you're going to take only 7 points of force damage this time, but I will need another wisdom save from you, please. Go ahead, please, Jamie.
It's lightning. It was doing lightning at me.
Yeah, it's this thing's claw, basically, but it's
okay.
Lightning powered, if you will.
Okay. So yeah, she casts the spell, and kind of this white, or kind of translucent, almost kind of iridescent, sort of bubble kind of forms around her. And the claw tries to penetrate it and just can't get through it. Kind of dissipates, the kind of cloud dissipates around it.
Yeah, imagine almost like these little tendrils of lightning off of each of its fingers, like kind of dancing along the outside of the force that you've kind of summoned, and it's just not able to get through to you. Okay. Archie, what did you get on your saving throw?
I got a 17.
17,
but...
excellent. Okay. So you still feel that tingling.
But I'm unconscious. He drops.
Oh.
Anyway.
Okay. You all watch.
The coughing and spluttering is overcome. You knew he was weakened by mustard gas in his life, and it's taken him down.
You all watch as Archie falls, still between the mirror, between these two worlds, but the chant of "I believe in magic" has faded from his lips for the moment, at least. Chrysobelle.
I knew it, he says as he falls unconscious.
Archie.
So Chrysobelle being away from the mirror, but seeing all this happens is kind of galvanized into action, and she rushes towards the mirror and the fallen compatriots and the rest that are being under attack. And as she nears, she is going to reach out and hit this storm creature with her hand as she's kind of passing by, trying to get to the mirror and the fallen compatriot. So I make a touch attack. Oh, I like that roll. That's a 21 to hit.
Absolutely.
Yay. Okay, so as she is basically yelling at this thing, "Be gone, foul creature!" She is, sorry, it's 40-10. Okay. Almost like this darkness, where the last hit was bright light. This one is almost like a shadowy darkness that is flowing around her, and the creature where she touches kind of blackens and almost I want to say almost festers. I mean, if this thing was a real creature, it would kind of decay or wither. I don't know what it's going to do to a storm creature, but that is 22 points of necrotic damage as she is casting inflict wounds upon it at second level. And then as a bonus action, she is going to, I'm not sure. Yeah, because I have Spare the Dying as arranged, I don't actually have to get to Archie, but as a bonus action, live! And that almost that white light, that energy, that glowingness flows from her mouth to him and surrounds him in that glow, and he is stable.
Excellent. Okay. So as Chrysobelle breathes this kind of energy into you, Archie, your eyes snap back open, and you're laid out there in the snow, partially between this snowy world, and you can feel the other side, though cold, is nowhere near as cold, and you know what that side holds. But here you are, back in this strange land again.
Yeah, it doesn't actually give him any hit points, so he's still at 0, but alive.
He's stable. Yep.
Yeah.
So, Archie, what would you like
Just
to do?
Coughing there. He's just overcome with coughing because I guess I'm at 0 hit points. I'm just maybe conscious, but I'm unable to act. I mean, sort of in game terms, I'd still be unconscious, though stable, wouldn't I? So coughing from mustard gas, and just hoping, but not really believing that the best. Well, hoping that something will happen, but not really believing in it. Again, he coughs out, I believe in, but he can't even finish that.
And that brings us to William.
As William's camera gets all screwed up, sorry. There we go.
Okay. By the darkness.
So William sees the party grouping up, and he starts heading over. He sees Archie drop, and just probably for the first time starts thinking of somebody else other than himself or Reggie fully and completely. So I don't know if I need to take in an attack of opportunity against me. I'll do it if I have to, but I'm going to run over to Archie from where I was. And I'm going to use my healer's kit with the healer feat to give him HP back. Because he was a medic, and that was the only way I could think to do it. That's a warlock.
Beautiful.
So I need to remember how much HP it is, though, because it's really weird. So it's 1d6 plus 4 plus your hit die. And it's weird, but I love this feat. So I rolled a 2 and we have 4 hit die, so you'll be getting 10 HP back. So I start like rubbing the rabbit fur together and then put it on his chest and give him a little shock. And she's like, Claire! And try to jolt him up, and as his eyes open, be like, we're not done here yet. What'd you say? In for a penny, in for a pound, right? And I start looking around. I see Reggie, and then I start to think, do I believe in magic? And then I start looking over the group and the fact that the 5 of us, out of all the craziness and chaos of where we came from and where the hell we ended up, and there's like the montage of memories moment, and just sit there and go, I do believe in magic. And then I'll lift up Archie, and that'll be my turn.
You feel this same spark of light, this energy. Perhaps it began from your healing of Archie. As you kind of stand up and back away, that kind of energy remains, that connection between you remains. And as this web begins to connect each of you in turn, you feel that bond. The fact that whatever craziness, whatever horror, that at least you had these 4 other people with you. That you've managed to do this together. The storm continues to rage and thrash around you. The wind and the sleet stinging the half of your face that is on the Dowrenland side of this mirror. You begin to feel as if you were going to be pulled off of your feet and flung high into the air, again, for some of you. When suddenly, the storm breaks. Sun shines down upon you. In the dark, clouds overhead dissipate. Each of you, if you will, now that Dowrenland is saved, where do we find each of you after this event?
I think you see Chrysobelle. She's at some sort of old-looking stove, if you will. Not much more than really just kind of a pillar of stones arranged in such a place where you can look like there might be a fire pit inside, and there's kind of a crude grill on top and a dented pot or something. And she's kind of whistling as she's stirring the pot and maybe dropping some what's look like maybe tea leaves into it. And after that's dropped in and she's looking at how it's steeping, she turns to a cupboard and is grabbing some cups, a couple of them chipped a little bit and cracked maybe, but cups nonetheless that will hold water. And she's kind of just arranging them beside the pot, waiting for the pot to finish steeping. And I think all this time she's whistling, kind of humming to herself, and she starts to then pour this tea into the cups. She'll take two and turns around and she hands one to, we don't see who, but here you go. And a hand will reach out and grab it.
Do we recognize this hand? Anyone?
Yes. Archie's hand takes the tea and takes. You hear a sip and a. Oh, you didn't warm the pot before you poured in the water. This is not the way you make tea. You've got to. First of all, you've got to have one, and he goes on a long Yorkshire ritual on how to make proper tea. He's starting to enjoy this new life in Dowrenland, though in the back of his head there is still this doubt. He remembers seeing all these flashes and lightning and magic, but none of that seemed to have any effect on the storm creatures. The only thing that seemed to actually and nor did he saw some light sort of seemed to give him some comfort, but the thing that actually brought him round was William's skill rather than his magic. And there's a doubt in the back of his head that magic ever worked, and that he thinks secretly that maybe they're dead, but it doesn't seem to be a bad place to be dead in, except for the tea.
I imagine outside of this little cottage that our companions find themselves in, Oswald is outside tending to a beautiful little garden out in the back. He is able to spread his arms wide, and seeds will fall from his hands and drop into the soil that will grow these beautiful flowers that present a spectrum of colors that are not seen by the normal human eye. He looks in and sees the cheerful finger wagging of the rabbit figure of Archie towards Chrysobelle, and he smiles and breathes in the air. His bark has been chipped and scarred from the attacks of the lightning, but through the cracks there are flowers that grow. And as he picks up his basket filled with all manner of vegetables and seedlings, he walks over to his prize, his special creation, a beautiful baby boy grown from a large rosebud sitting in the ground, with slightly golden hair growing off his head and shining blue eyes, as this is a baby face similar to the man whose life he took in that trench long ago. And he hopes to give that boy a new life, a better life, with him and his friends in Dowrenland.
Around the back of this little house settlement place that we're making, you see Reggie is sitting like very up and proper, with William in his rabbit form, kind of just sitting on his butt with his tail kind of wagging a little bit himself, and he keeps kind of just looking And he finally just sighs. He says, "You were a good boy, Reggie. But it's time for you to get some rest. Thank you for everything, and I promise I will never forget you. I'm okay. I have people here, and I feel like you came here back from me, and I don't want you to do that. So I'm letting it go. I'm letting you go." And he twitches his ear and he goes, "And I'm releasing the pact." And as he says that, the form of Reggie dissipates. William's fur, though not as white as it was, does lighten up a little bit. His ears perk up a little bit, though the scar of what he had decided to do will forever be with him. And he just takes these deep breaths, tears welling and rolling, but not sobbing. He turns around, and as he turns around is as he sees Archie yelling at Chrysobelle at the terrible tea, and just looks up and says, "Oh, I guess it's not so bad here," and goes to go annoy Oswald about his garden and probably take some vegetables.
When you see Pearl, she is actually no longer in her rabbit form. She's actually in her Levin form, sorry. She's actually once again in her human form, and is sitting in a chair and wearing clothes that are not soldiers' clothes anymore. The war is over at this point for the mundane world, and sitting at a chair, and surrounding her is a group of small children, varying ages. And as we see her, and she tells the children to quiet down, and she opens a book and begins to read. And behind her, you see that they are in a library, surrounded by the works of fiction like Alice in Wonderland and Wizard of Oz. And she is trying to keep the imagination and the spirit of Dowrenland alive in the mundane world.
Well done. Well done, everyone. And so we bring our tale to a close. The tale of how, for a world of imagination, and hopefully maybe for our world as well, an imagination has been saved. So, thank you so much, you five. This has been a phenomenal game. I cannot imagine this having gone any better. Thank you so much for both agreeing to be a part of this and for bringing your A++ game to this. I'm going to pass things back over to you so that you can do your outros, plug anything that you'd like, give parting words, etc., etc., and then we will put a bow on this thing and put it to bed. So, first up, let's go with Karen.
Well, that was just amazing. Let's just say that. Thank you to all the players. It was so amazing to play with all of you. And Jeremy, again, you're a great GM, so thank you so much. This this game kind of hit all the levels. There was such the lows in the beginning, and then we had the fun, and then at the end, kind of the happy. And I'm going to cry because I'm all emotional because that was just beautiful, all of you guys. So thank you so much. And that's all I can say. Goodbye.
Crying is the point. Yes. No. No, I am very, very happy. Like I said, yeah, emotionally, this game was very satisfying. Excellent. Next up, we have Jamie.
yeah, that was, like I said, this was my first online game really, and went really, really well. Wasn't quite as nerve-wracking as I was afraid it was going to be. So thank you for everybody for being patient on things. Yeah, y'all, it was a lot of fun. Some really good performances, and just y'all did a great job. So I appreciate it.
And you did a wonderful job, Darwin. I don't know what you were nervous about. Actually, I know why you were nervous, but you had no reason to be. You did fun. Fantastic. Excellent. Next up, we have Caius.
Well, I'd just like to say thank you to everybody. I've been really looking forward to this game. I've never played with most of you before, and it was a real pleasure, and I've enjoyed it. Well worth staying up until 2:30 in the morning for. Well, actually, now it's 6:30 in the morning. All night gaming. Fun, but it'd be easy to fall asleep if it wasn't so good. It was brilliant.
Thank you, Caius. I appreciate that a lot. And you staying up late and or starting your day with us. I very much appreciate it. Thank you. All right, next up we have, I almost called you William. Nick, please.
I'll take William. Today's game was brought to you by the letter W, since we're going to bring the Sesame Street thing back, for William and Wholesome, and winning. But thank you again, Jeremy. You were freaking amazing, giving us the openings and just giving us the options to make it as you. If it's A++, you gave it to us with an S. So I want to apologize for bringing it down a little bit with the dog stuff. This was a bit personal. No, this was a bit personal. This did help. I did lose my dog in the past couple of months, and so sorry. This did help me get through some of that stuff actually a lot. So thank you guys for being a part of that, and your check's in the mail. But yeah, thank you again so much, guys, and it would be a pleasure to do it anytime you want.
Wow. Thank you, Nick. The fact that this could serve as a catharsis for that I consider that an honor. So thank you. I've been there before. It's an incredibly tough thing to deal with. So I feel you. My heart goes out to you. And thank you for playing in this game, and for bringing such realism and emotional weight to your character. It was a beautiful thing. So I don't blame you for bringing the game down at all. Last but certainly not least, Jackson.
Thank you very much for having me. This was incredible. Roses all around. The only flaw I'd say was I think the title was a little wrong. I would actually call this a one-shot Innocence Gained, my friends. That was, I think, I'll add to the rest to what everyone else is saying. That was an emotional catharsis I didn't know I needed, but I'm glad I got it. Goodness gracious, this game was so much fun. Such an interesting, fantastic, wonderful concept. Love the characters, love the interaction, love the imagination. Everything about this is what I love about this wonderful hobby of gaming, of how it can truly elevate and just become beautiful emotional storytelling. Jeremy, thank you for letting me be in your game. I've been looking forward to this game for months. I've been looking forward to playing with you all. I would play with you all again in a heartbeat, and I'd play in Dowrenland in a heartbeat anytime, any day. Thank you so much, and this was truly an honor and a pleasure.
Thank you, Jackson. Those are very, very kind words. It's very touching. All of you, thank you so much. Dowrenland is a very special thing. I've kind of tinkered with in the background for many, many years now, running a few games in it, and it's always a lot of fun to bring it out. And one of the things that I like the most about it is, even though it is based upon these fairy tale worlds, that it's okay to go to a dark place with it. It survives that. It works well, especially whenever it's put into the hands of players much like yourselves. So I appreciate you taking such genuine care with it as we played in it tonight. So For anyone who tuned in this evening, thank you so much for watching along with us. If you like what you saw, please hit the like button, subscribe. If you would like to see more, there is a lot more on the channel, and hopefully, with any luck, there's a lot more to come. Until then, may your dice roll high and your snacks always be within reach.
Bye.